Well, hi once again, everybody. Welcome into this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, and glad to have you with us. And we hope wherever you're looking at us on whatever social media platform we are available on, Facebook, YouTube, Apple app, whatever. If you have a chance to subscribe, please do that. And even better, give us a couple of likes if you'd like. That's always well appreciated. We got a lot of show for you today. We've got a lot of topics to cover because there's been a lot of really interesting and sometimes a little bit controversial news coming out about not only the PGA Tour here in America, but also the European Tour, which is marketing itself in a whole new way and a different name. And you've got the Saudi Tour starting, with the Shark, with Greg Norman and stuff. But we have the perfect guy to analyze all of that and a hell of a lot more. So let me tell you about our special guest, known as the Dean of Golf. Dean Reimuth has long been considered one of the elite golf instructors anywhere on the planet. Dean has a long and varied career in golf, from a high school and college level player to a touring professional before he started his lifelong career of instruction. Dean is also an author, television commentator, and has appeared on the Golf Channel with his own show for years. Dean is a sought-after keynote speaker, as you can imagine, at industry conventions like the upcoming PGA show in Orlando in January, trade conferences, and corporate meetings as well. Dean and his academy are located in Southern California, beautiful, beautiful part of Southern California, in the San Diego area, which is one of my favorite places of all times to go visit and to play golf. So without further ado, let's bring up one of our favorite guests. As I mentioned, he's referred to as the Dean of Golf, and we're talking about Mr. Dean Reimuth. Dean, thank you for coming on and taking some time with us on the show. We're happy to have you.
My pleasure as always, Dennis. It's good to see you.
Let me start off, like I say, we've got a lot to cover. And I wanted to kick it off this way, and you and I talked about it a little bit. During the real hard lockdown of COVID, a lot of people, even though people were still getting out to the golf courses in some areas of the country, like here in Las Vegas, a lot of people didn't go out. They were working from home. They were avid golfers, so they couldn't go out and take instruction. So they turned to online instruction with great people like yourself. How do you think that played out, and is that still as strong today as it was, say, 5 or 6 months ago, Dean?
I think it's going to stay around, because if you look at time, cost, all the variables that go into taking instruction from anyone who maybe isn't at your local golf course, the time factor to travel, to the cost of tickets and hotel rooms, things like that, make it accessible for people like me or some of my other contemporaries to be able to help people long distances without the cost and time of travel.
Right. That's a big factor. Let me
And
interrupt
if you
and
look
jump.
at
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And you look at the cameras and what you're able to do with me now, where we used to have to do everything in studio. Now you've got a camera and a wireless on the range. I'm giving a guy a lesson up in Canada. I'm giving somebody a lesson in Japan, and it's like I'm there anyway.
Right.
I can actually videotape it, and I can slow it down, and then I can point it out and send it back to them, and they can look at it.
There's a lot of competition online, as you know, with some relatively known and some very known instructors such as yourself. How does Dean Reimuth separate himself to get somebody to start working with you as opposed to somebody else?
Well, I've always been a little bit different in the way I approach teaching, is that I wanted to get serious students that were willing to commit to improving. I wasn't interested in a numbers game of how many I taught, more the quality of what I did. And so through, I've never really spent much time or effort in marketing.
Yeah.
Mostly it's been, I've done meetings and I've had success has created attention. And therefore people knew that if they came to me, we're going to improve.
Right. Right. And you've got the background for it. I mean, you teach people on all of the major tours, men and women, major champions, everything. So, I mean, that's right out there. I want to give you a couple of items, kind of do like a rapid fire, Dean, and get your answer, yes or no, with a brief explanation as we move down this list. So let me kick it off with this. First, the biggest problem in the golf swing is tension. Oh, we lost him. Oh, shoot. Okay. He's back. All right.
I'm here.
You're there? Okay.
I'm here.
You must have went to get a quick cup of coffee or something. All right. We're going to go down the line and kind of rapid fire, yes or no, with a little explanation. And I started off first. The biggest problem in the golf swing is tension. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason it's tension, yes, absolutely. Can
Why?
you hear me okay?
Yeah. Why?
Well, if you think of things when your body's moving, a tight swing moves slower, and the tighter your joints are, the more damage you're doing to the tendons. So, in order for a swing to work, it has to be fluid or smooth because you have a sequence of events happening. And if any part of that sequence stalls or gets hung up, the next one is having a hard time.
Right. Okay. I totally agree with that. All right. Second, golfers all by themselves, Dean, overly complicate their swings.
100%. It's the interesting part about the media and golf instruction is that golf instruction in the media is not really designed to generally make people better. It's more designed to get them interested in reading that particular item, right?
Right.
When you look at any learning process, like when you learn to write your name, you learned in a procedure that acquired a skill.
Correct.
You didn't go at it like you were trying to fix things. You were trying to learn things, right?
Right.
So that's the difference. And if you take the process and you break it back down and say, okay, how do you learn to go from A to B to C to D? And then the only question is, how fast can you go?
Right.
Sequence doesn't change any. The flow and the fluidness, the speed changed and variables to that, but the sequencing and things like that are the same. So it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
The problem comes is that what you feel may not be doing. And until what you feel you are doing match, it's hard to change it.
Right. No, that's
So
well
if
said.
if you look, yeah, so if you look at Tiger Example, when he started making some changes, he was going from one area which he felt, perhaps he and whoever he was working with, felt like maybe he was coming from too much inside. Then if you start moving him to swinging outside in or more left, well, at some point you might cross that line and now become an outside in swinger.
Right. Correct.
So you have to be very careful when you're adjusting things to not go from undercorrecting to overcorrecting.
Overcorrecting. Correct. I agree 100%. All right. Third, most golfers overestimate their ability.
That's another 100%. So you got to be 100% so far. So if you look at the average person when you play in events, the average person, and you're playing with a pro or pro-am, they're using either the same club to go the same distance on a par 3, or they're even using less club. They might be using an 8 and the tour player's using a 7.
Uh-huh.
Right? So they're looking at, okay, I hit this distance, but that's once out of how many times?
Yeah. Yeah.
The tour player is saying, I need to hit it 7 or 8 out of 10 times. Otherwise, I'm not effective at it. So I'm trying to, bring my odds in my favor.
Right.
And that's really the difference. And that's where, as I said, when you swing smoother and you actually have less effort, the club head is actually traveling faster. Which is why and any person who's listening and yourself, you can ask anybody what their best swings feel like and show me the person that says, well, when I'm really tight, jerky, jump all over the place, that's when it goes the best. There's not one that I've ever had.
No, that's very, very true. All right, fourth. Most golfers are not sure, Dean, what swing philosophy works best for them.
Right. And so what I tell people to do is, like you, if I was helping you, and let's say that the audience that's listening is going to do the same thing. You make your best practice swing.
Mm-hmm.
It may take you 2 or 3. Sometimes you get it on the first one. Sometimes you don't get it, for 2 or 3. But you take that swing and try to match that over the ball. And when those start to match, that's going to be what I classified as hitting your best shots more often. So my first goal with a student is to get them to hit their best shots more often first. And then we start to try to improve the quality of their best shot. So let's say they hit it 200 yards. Now they want to hit it 220.
Right.
Well, we're not going to go try to hit it 220 till you can hit it 200 consistently enough,
Right.
so that you're not making mistakes.
Right. Okay. If I were to come down, and I would love to, obviously, to have you work on my swing, would I get a rate? Would you give me a break on your rate? Would I get a media rate?
So hold on. So if you go get brain surgery, is that what you negotiate when you go? or do you just want them to not screw up?
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. I love it. All right, finally, golfers are afraid to start taking lessons because it's the old wives' tale, I think, that they fear that they're going to get a hell of a lot worse before they start getting better. And that's what keeps them from taking golf lessons.
Well, sure. That's exactly the big issue. But the question is, first, are you happy with the way you play right now? If you are, then there's no real point in taking lessons anyway, right?
Right.
So if you aren't happy with it, you'd have to deduce what it is you don't like. You don't hit it far enough, you don't hit it consistent enough, or whatever it is. And sometimes it's just a portion of the game itself. They're not any good in bunkers or fairway bunkers or side hill lies. So, you need guidance to get through that. Just like when I took ski lessons, I needed help to be able to turn and stop so I didn't kill everybody on the slope. So, as I told the guy, I didn't want to be a kamikaze snowball rolling down the hill, running over people. So I actually said, I want to learn how to ski like a good skier, but I don't want to ski the black diamond or double black. I just want to ski and feel good and look good.
Right.
So everybody has a different level of what their desire to achieve is. Some just want to, hit the ball more consistent. Some want to shoot even par. Some want to play the tour, and everybody has their own, decision as to where they want to head. That's how you determine the game plan to start with. And then you say, well, are they capable? I get a young player and they want to play, tournament golf at a high level, like when Phil started. That's what he wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't bite that all off at one time, but you can get there. Now I've got another guy that I taught who was a lawyer here in San Diego. He had the shank so bad he was going to quit. And the professionals at the club sent him to me, and they said, can you help this guy? Because if he doesn't stop shanking it, he's just going to quit playing. And he went from a 17 to a 7 in 6 months.
Wow. That's awesome.
I worked with Grant Waite. We started in May, and in May he was nowhere in the world ranking. By the end of the year, he was top. He was 30. I think he was 36th on the money list. He won the fall finish.
Yeah.
He couldn't finish outside the top 10.
Yeah. And in my opinion, Dean, Grant Waite's got one of the classiest swings
Oh, absolutely.
ever on the planet. I kind of compare him a little bit to like a Weiskopf or something.
Yeah, and
Gorgeous swing.
that was what we worked on. See, his swing was fine. He
Yeah.
drove the ball probably better than any tour player I've ever worked with. He drove it more consistent in the fairway than any of them, right? But his short irons and his scoring clubs were nowhere near chipping, pitch shots, off speed, and 30
Yeah.
yards. They weren't any close to 50,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So as we worked on that area of the game, then all of a sudden he started to become dominant, and he couldn't putt. He was actually putting left-handed because he had the yips putting. So we fixed that. Now the interesting part about fixing that was it wasn't really about his putting stroke. It was how he was reading certain putts, and because the way he was reading them was incorrect, it was making him go too far by the hole, and then he would get a little gun shy about making the stroke.
Yep.
And that caused it, right?
That will kill you. That will kill you. All right, I'll tell you what, Dean, stay with us. We're going to step away. We're going to take a short break, and we come back. We're going to have a lot more with our special guest, the Dean of Golf, Dean Rymeth from San Diego. Stay with us. We return right after this.
When I first learned about Encore, I was a little taken back because I didn't know much about the ball. I went out and played a couple rounds with it, and I was just extremely surprised how this ball made up for what I was looking for in a golf ball 20 years ago. It's a very straight ball. It launches a little higher than other balls that I've used, which is ideal for the tour because we're playing firm and fast greens. A lot of the balls do fly very similar, but this ball reacts so much differently around the greens and inside 100 yards than any other ball I've ever played. The combination of this ball is the best ball that I've ever played.
Hey golfers, I've been a golf talk show host for a long time, and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over because I found the best ball I have ever played with, and more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at encoregolf.com and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to encoregolf.com and see for yourself. Your scores will love you for it. That's ONCORE golf.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, to more of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. I'm Dennis Silvers, having a great conversation with our special guest, Dean Rymeth. And Dean, how did you come about developing your very successful swing shaping system? And tell our viewers, what are the benefits of that?
Well, if you look at when I first started taking instruction, I had a particular problem and I couldn't figure out what it was. We didn't have video back then. We had like an 8-step camera thing, so it was very difficult to see what was happening. And one of the things I noticed was the problem didn't exist on the driving range. The problem existed when I was playing, but it was only intermittently. And so it was very difficult to figure out what was causing the actual problem, which was I'd get stuck and I'd either block it or I'd roll it over and duck hook it. And that's that was creating a problem because it was always with the same club. It was a driver. It wasn't 3-wood. It wasn't some of the other ones. So trying to figure out what was causing the problem was very difficult. And now with a lot of technologies, you can tell. Like, I remember the first time I went to one of the simulators, the real refined ones that TaylorMade. And I went up to the center and I said, when I was swimming, right there is the spot where I get in trouble. I could pinpoint it, but I could never slow it down enough with the cameras we had to, find it, right? But I'd be swinging and playing, and all of a sudden I'd get there and I'd go, oh boy, I don't know where this is going. And literally didn't. So, but I was able to figure it out. And what happened was I had a misperception or misunderstanding from information I read when I first started playing, but that was based on, I didn't know where I was, so the instruction didn't necessarily fit me.
Right.
Even though I tried it, right?
Right.
So my hips always cleared too fast, and I read this book, said it was the 5 Fundamentals of Golf from Ben Hogan, and said you can't turn your left hip fast enough, okay? And
Correct.
that's like in chapter 3 or 4. Well, for me, I was already turning them too fast, so as I turned them faster, that got me more out in front with my lower body, and the club was too far behind. So now all of a sudden when I release it, it's all over the place, right? So that instruction might have worked for somebody whose wasn't, but
Right.
it didn't work for me. And that was the real premise, getting to, well, if I could just hit my best shots more often, how
Yeah.
much better would I? That would be fine, right?
Right.
And I had all kinds of instruction. Guy says slow it down. Guy said do this, do this. Nothing made any sense to me. So that's what led me to kind of getting more into, well, how do you determine what it is that you really have to do to change your game?
Great
To
question.
get it to what you want. And that's all in the assessment in the very beginning. If the assessment is wrong, everything after that is incorrect.
Makes absolutely perfect sense. Do you think, and I often ask this to our guests, Dean, do you think there's for the average player that's reading Golf Magazine, Golf Digest, not that there's anything wrong with golf publications, but golf books, DVDs, CDs, YouTubes, whatever, there's too much information available that will get them off track?
Oh, 100%. See, that's the nature of the business, is to come up with tips. So I'll give you an idea. Tiger Woods hit a perfect shot, second shot into Spyglass, first hole, the par 5, right? And so one of the announcers was analyzing the swing. And in the analysis of the swing of a really great shot, they analyzed, I believe it was about 22 different things that the player did. Okay? So you had 22, see this, see that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And you understand that when you're watching television, that's subliminal. That's pounding into your brain all the time. So when you get out there and you get quiet and all of a sudden this little like instant message comes in your brain in the middle of the down saying, oh, maybe I should turn my hands over, or maybe I should shove my knees, or, work my feet. That stuff's coming all the time because there's no game plan for you personally.
Right.
And what has to happen for people is you have to get, each individual swing is different and unique, like your fingerprint, right? And so you have to have something that works specific for you, and it may not be applicable to the other person. So that's the emphasis of teaching, is to identify what it is that works for that person's swing. Correct. And how to adjust that, and then how to teach them to make the adjustments so they can do it when they're playing, and it's not just when they're with you.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. There's some movement, Dean, being picked up by some industry proponents, industry folks, insiders that believe lessons have gotten too long, too much information, overload, that perhaps 20, 30 minutes would not overwhelm a student. I don't know, it might have some merit. What are your thoughts? Because if you're working with a person for a 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour. That's a lot of information and that's a lot of swing. So maybe shorten it up a little bit and give the guy not so much to think about, or the woman not so much to think about.
It all depends. It depends on what you're doing in the lesson, you see. So think of it this way. If what I'm doing is training you on one or two things for an hour, you're going to get a lot of good repetitions in the hour.
Yeah.
If I'm overloaded with 100 different things,
Yeah.
try this, try that, that'll be a mess, right?
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do is to first analyze what it is, and then you're doing training. So you're guiding as a coach, you're guiding the training to make sure that person, there's always two teachers and one student in every lesson. There's the teacher in you, me, and then there's you, the player, okay? I'm spending my time training you to train yourself.
Right.
So I don't talk that much, and I'm more finding out how you're making the adjustments, what you can and can't feel, and if that's producing the kind of results that we're looking for, can you go back and find that again? Mm-hmm. So sometimes what we do is we'll talk about something else, we'll change, hit a different shot, come back, because once you lose it and go find it again, you rebuild that neuromuscular pathway.
Right. That's exactly right. I guess Dean went to get another cup of coffee or something. Let me know when we've got. There you go. Can you hear me? No, we lost his voice again. We lost his voice. You want to go to commercial? Let's go to commercial and we'll take a short break. In fact, we could give you our game plan of the week, brought to you by Adam Bazalgette from Scratch Golf Academy in Florida, another great teacher. And then we'll come back and we'll reconnect with Dean. So stay with us.
Well, hello again. Adam Bazalgette here in Naples, Florida. Two-time PGA Teacher of the Year award winner down here. Wanted to help you today and talk about how to improve your chipping in golf. So let's see what we can find out. Okay, so how to improve your chipping at golf. Now, I'm the founder of ScratchGolfAcademy.com. There's lots of information there, videos about chipping. We want to give you at least a couple of things today, though, that will really help you. I hope it'll really help you. I've got a 9-iron here as I hit a little chip shot over to there. By the way, if you liked the video, please hit the like button. Would love to get you more of this content. Just subscribe to the channel and we'll get you more free content. The main thing when you want to get better at chipping in golf is you have to be able to consistently hit the ball solidly and hit it at a predictable height. The height it comes off the club at determines how much it rolls and it lands. So if your contact is inconsistent, some thins and some fats, I mean, hey, we can all do it once in a while, but if it's inconsistent and if your height changes as it comes off the club, there's no way, no matter how much practice you do, that you'll develop good touch. So let me give you a couple of little thoughts that'll help you. Number one, make the club a little shorter. Shorten up on the club and stand nearer to the ball than you normally would. Normally I would stand about here for a 9-iron. I'm going to stand a lot nearer and make the club shorter. It does two things. Number one, a shorter golf club is easier to find the ball with. And number two, when you get closer to the ball, your swing will stay in a more straight back and through arc. I'm not saying exactly straight, but more straight. When you stand away from the ball, the club will start to make more of a circle around you. More difficult to hit the ball solidly when you do that. The second thing in solid contact, minimize wrist motion. When you start adding wrist action and moving the head of the club around, your odds of meeting the ball solidly with a consistent loft, not so good. So when you make your swing, you want to feel like the golf club is very stable going through. Now, let me just add to that, we're not talking stiff-wristed. Good chippers have a little play in the wrists. The weight of the club naturally flows a little bit. And just to touch on another point with this, you might hear keep your legs nice and still when you chip. It's fairly true. But if you were tossing a tennis ball, there's a natural little bit of movement. So we're looking for something where the club is very predictable, very stable, but not rigid and unathletic. So we get a little play in the hands, little bit of movement in the knees as we come through, but minimal hand action. See so many people chipping the ball and just a chaotic, active set of hands. You're not going to be a consistent chipper that way. Get your setup position, tilt the club up against the ball, Nice stable hands, a little bit of flow with the feet. So if you follow those two things, get yourself nearer the ball, and then within reason on a small chip, minimize hand motion, but still do it with a little feel. I think these things will help you hit the ball more solidly and really help you improve your chipping in golf. At least it'll give you a good jump start on it. Again, my name's Adam, founder of ScratchGolfAcademy.com. Please subscribe to the channel and hope this helps you with your chipping.
One of the buzzwords happening in golf is the word lag. You hear it all the time, but what is it, and how do I get it? Lag simply is the loading of the club to help produce tons of power in your golf swing. Up until now, getting lag into your swing has been very hard. Introducing the lag shot, a brand new proven training aid being praised by some of the leading PGA Tour instructors across the globe. This practice aid trains your hands, arms and body how to make a powerful, efficient golf swing with an amazing amount of lag. Lag Shot is a 7-iron length club with the same loft and lie with a whippy, flexible blue shaft and a beautiful jet black club head. After you master the Lag Shot, your game will change forever with a stress-free swing, more power and more distance with lower scores every time you play. Go to lagshotgolf.com and you'll see why this truly is becoming the #1 training aid in golf. Visit lagshotgolf.com.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
All right, we are back once again, everybody, for continuation of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers with PGA Tour instructor Dean Reimuth. And I don't think we've had anybody, Dean, get up so much as you have to go to the kitchen to get that cup of coffee. But I get that.
No,
but anyway.
no. I live in California.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We're the home of the fruits and nuts, so none of our stuff works anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand. No problem. You've had experience with this because you've taught a number of LPGA Tour champions. Are the American Tour players ever going to dominate the Women's Tour again, Dean?
That's a good question. It's hard to say, but more than likely not. And the reason I would say that is because here it's very individualized. You have to kind of climb that ladder a bit more on your own.
Yeah.
Internationally, there's more support. I mean, take a look at the Ryder Cup. So the coaches for Europe were brought over with the team. Mm-hmm. The coaches in the United States were all independent and separate, right?
Right.
So our system isn't really like a big team effort thing. Whereas a lot of the international communities, they have international academies. They have,
right.
South Africa does, Japan does, Korea does.
Yes.
So they're more kind of nation supportive of a group of golfers. And here we're more, you kind of find the path on your own. And if you get there, you do. If you don't, there's not this kind of support.
Right.
When you look at what the PGA did, which was a good thing, they started the Junior Golf League where kids are getting to team up and play with other kids on a team, right?
Right.
So they have some friends as opposed to, just solo. And what happens is when you're a kid, you feel like, I have some friends to play with, as opposed to those that become really competitive, which is like competitive baseball. You just kind of move around and play. You don't really think about it.
Right.
You get transferred to this team or that team, and you're just there to play. But to get to a broader audience, the kids like to have some other friends to play golf with and talk to and hang out with.
Totally, and it makes the game that much more fun, and that's the reason why you go out with your buddies on the weekend and do that. Let's talk about, we talked a little bit about it before, but I want to get your thoughts about it, about this new proposed ruling on the length of a driver. This seems to be causing some controversy among a lot of the tour players and stuff. Tell us what that's about and what your thoughts are.
Well, the hardest part about the tour versus the average player is that the tour and the average player in golf was intermixed, where if you look at the example team sports, they had team basically approved equipment and everybody used the same equipment. Golf didn't start out that way. You had all kinds of different equipment. In my case, as I mentioned to you one time, when I was younger, I worked at Midlothian as an assistant, and Tom Weisskopf was there at the Western Open.
Right.
That we had 69, 71. We were the same height. His fingertips were 4 inches lower to the ground than mine. So if you use a size of a radius, and his arms are longer, his radius with the same size club is much bigger.
Right.
So the effect is my 7-iron, I'm using a 7-iron to equal his 9-iron.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what you'd have to do in order to standardize that is you'd have to measure every tour player, and then you'd have to give them, this is the length club that gives all drivers if you have a 40-inch inseam or length arm, now your driver has to be this length. If you're 35, now it has to be this length. But, you could use shorter if you want, but that's the only way you could standardize that.
Yeah.
So although they look at it as the length of the driver, as an example, if I use a driver and somebody with longer arms uses the same driver, his radius is still bigger than mine.
Right. Exactly.
So, I have to be like, and sometimes it's a short player, like my friend Kent Strong from Canada. He's got like monkey gremlin arms. I mean, mine are gremlin, his are monkey arms. They hang down and almost reach the floor. Mine barely come to my pockets, right? So that's just the differentials that we have. And you can only go so far to standardize it now, because you wouldn't be able to go back and you could standardize the maximum loft, say, that the maximum loft to be 60 degrees.
Right.
You can't have 62, 64, then you don't have to make the greens as firm because you can't spin the ball as hard, right?
Exactly.
So those are the variables that they have to come up with, because one of the problems when you start putting 64-degree wedges in, you can stop the ball on a dime, and if the tour wants to keep the score at a certain level, now the only thing they can do is make the greens so hard that you almost kill them, and they make them unplayable.
Well, exactly right. That's a very, very good point that you bring up. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, if they were down in your area, they wanted to take lessons, they wanted to get online, get your help, how do they get a hold of you, Dean? What's the easiest way?
Well, you get a hold of them, you bring them in with you, and then you get your lesson at the same time.
We'll get a two for one.
I see. I had to get. All right, so it's deanofgolf.com. My email is deanofgolf@aol.com.
Okay.
And I'm here in the San Diego area, and I have a website, and you can look me up there and I have a form request on that, and they can reach out to me, and I respond.
Yeah, and it's very, very well worthwhile. Real quickly, you got plans for some more DVDs, another book, some articles, some commentating? What are you doing?
Well, that's where you got a DVD. I think that passed with VHS.
Yeah.
Now the streaming stuff now.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working on a couple of things, and we'll see, with things that I've always done things kind of ahead of schedule. Some of them go and some of them you start, but they take off. So we'll see what happens coming up. But I'm doing, like I said, a lot of online coaching, and still do speaking engagements and things like clinics and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Dean, you're great. You're a credit to the game. Love having you on, and we're going to have you back sooner than later.
Same here. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Have a good one. Dean Rymuth, everybody. All right, we're going to take one more short break, come back, and we're going to close up the show. Be right back.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, before we leave you, I just want to leave you with this. We have a new advertiser coming on the show. We're in the process of putting together a spot for them, but this is called the Campbell Caddy. And it is so cool. You know, when you bring a couple of clubs up to the green, a couple of a sand wedge, a 9-iron, a putter, and you got to lay them down, and the grass could be wet, it could be dirty. So keep your grips dry, keep your clubs dry. Just stick this, okay, into the fringe, lean your clubs up against it. You could use this in the sand trap. You could use this in the dirt. You could use this in the fairway. Very lightweight. It's really, really a great idea. And you know what? It's going to help your back. You don't have to bend over picking up your clubs off the fairway. So we're going to have a spot starting to run next week for Campbell Caddy. Make a great gift with the holidays coming up. So we'll have more for you on that next week. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I've been your host, Dennis Silvers, wishing you nothing but fairways and greens. Get out there and play some golf if you're able to, and you're part of the country. The weather's been here great in Las Vegas for golf, so try to do it. See you all back next week. So long, everybody.